Hello and welcome to Virginia Water here in the heart of Surrey. This is part of the Crown Estate owned by Her Majesty the Queen, ma'am, and it has everything that the middle to upper classes could want. A big lake for you to walk your whatever a poo breed of dog round, lots of little trails for your kids to take their very expensive frog bikes around, and of course it makes it a natural watering hole for the premium badged SUV. But given the backlash, the social backlash that has been against some of these big petrol-powered SUVs, how do you maintain your social status in a place like this with a clear conscience and a premium badge? Well, thankfully, Volvo have come up with the answer. Welcome to AutoEV. Now, before we go on to this week's road test review of Volvo's new XC40 P8 Recharge Pure Electric, it is of course time for me to ask you to like the videos, subscribe to the channel and press the little bell button down below so you receive notification of when our next video goes live. If you do that, we'll be so grateful that come 21st of June, you can all come round my house for dinner. Anyway, back to the car. The XC40, it is Volvo's best-selling model in the UK, and now this is a full electric version. It's based on the CMA platform, which also underpins the Polestar 2, a car that we really admire and really like. So does that make this test a bit of a foregone conclusion? Well, not necessarily, because bear in mind the competition that's out there in this small SUV crossover sector. The Volvo might not just walk away with it, it's got a bit of a fight on its hands. Let's find out how it gets on. Styling wise, I think this is one of the best looking cars in its class, if not the best looking car in its class. I think only the Range Rover Evoque becomes close to being as stylish and as just great to look at and full of lovely details as this Volvo is. But bear in mind, Volvo's only really been doing this sort of like styling for the last couple of decades. Back in the sort of the 70s and 80s, when they were doing things like the 300 series and 700 series, you'd hardly have called them a stylist's dream. But ever since Peter Horbury started changing the way of Volvo's design, they've just been near the top of the class as far as I'm concerned for, well, design. The XC40 Pure Electric differs from the standard car because obviously you get this new filled in front grille, but of course the rest remains as is. You've got the Thor hammer headlights, nice big chunky alloy wheels, there's lovely detailing on the bonnet, some lovely creases here. The only thing that jars, and it was the same on the Polestar 2, is how the top of this clamshell bonnet doesn't meet this bit of the door, and I can't not unsee that now, and it always looks like the panel's a bit out of line. Other than that, I think it looks fantastic. And round the side you've got, again like the Polestar, this lovely kind of concave area here at the bottom of the doors, which look great. Of course your body cladding, which no self-respecting SUV should be without. Contrast roof, it works really well in this colour, the sage green, I really like it, which is a really bright metallic. You won't be able to see that in the camera, but when the sun hits it, it's got a lovely sparkle to it. This little upswept window line here does make it feel a little bit claustrophobic in the back, but you know, it's a small price to pay for something that looks this good. And round the back it's got a bum like Kylie, it's just almost perfect. Lovely big roof spoiler, these great lovely sort of like L-shaped lights that Volvo have been a trademark of Volvo's for ages now, and the big script along the back. Just looks phenomenal. Now boot space is excellent at 452 litres, and that'll extend up to over 1300 litres with the rear seats folded down. It's a split 60-40 with a little load through hatch as well if you want. So our suitcases fit neatly. Got a large one in there, a medium one in there, and our carry-on one in there, and you've also got extra room there for extra rucksacks or small bits of luggage or whatever else you need. And of course you've also got some underfloor storage, but that's not where your cables go. Volvo have been quite clever with this, because what you do is you just fold the boot floor up in half like that, and you've got these little hooks for your shopping bags to keep your shopping upright, and then, as I say, a nice big trough in there for, well, bits and pieces that you need. So where are your cables? Well, there at the front. See, those practical Swedes Volvo, eh? Can't knock them. The rear seat space is absolutely excellent. Okay, it might be tight in terms of width for 3 adults, but certainly 3 children, it's no problem. You've got ISOFIX points obviously in the outer rear seats. You've also got one on the front passenger seat as well. But I have got literally acres of room back here. Lots of headroom even with this glass panoramic roof. Good footroom underneath the seats and vast amount of knee room here as well. It's just brilliant back here. You've also got good air vents down here for the rear air conditioning. I've got heated rear seats in this model, and nice big reasonable sized door bins that are fully lined with carpet, and some little storage down in there, as well as a folding armrest. It's an excellent family car. And much like the exterior, the interior is a designer's delight as far as I'm concerned. Very similar to the Polestar 2. You've got these twin screens here, so you've got this portrait style infotainment screen here, and then the digital display in front of the driver, which you can configure depending how you want it. So you can have full digital mapping in front of you here. You can change this one so that it's just you know, on your Spotify account you can log in there. You can use Bluetooth streaming, but it uses a Google operating system, which I think is fantastic. So very simple. All you go is, hey Google, navigate me to Staines upon Thames.
Navigating to Staines upon Thames.
And it's as simple as that. I mean, that's just fantastic. And look, big clear easy map there, and another one up here. The rest of it, as I say, works really, really well. Nice, simple and clear. What I like as well is just the quality of it. I mean, just the little click that you get with the air vent, something as simple as that, just makes me think that someone's really, really thought about it. The simple control layout here, where you've got heated screen, heated rear screen, and then this lovely big sort of like volume control here for the audio system, and a play and pause button in the middle. Little stubby transmission lever there. I've got wireless charging for the mobile. I've got 2 big cup holders here, massive big door bins, which like the rear are carpeted, so nothing rattles around in it. This nice sort of like decor panel in here, which is slightly different. I've got standard Harman Kardon audio system on this specification model. I've got a big centre armrest in there with, believe it or not, detachable waste paper bin as well. The only downside, and it's quite common on cars obviously that have this type of screen layout, is again, if you want to use the air conditioning system or the heating system, you've got to go into the screen to use it, to direct it. So to adjust your fan speed, the airflow or the temperature, you've got to go into the screen. And it just means you've got to take your eye off the road that little bit longer than is really ideal for. And I just would like to have seen maybe on this side maybe an up and down fan control, or you know, something else for adjusting temperature just quickly on the move without having to take your eyes off the road. The seats themselves, however, you know, the typical Volvo, they hold you in all the right places. And then there's obviously this safety aspect, because it's a Volvo we're talking about. So, you know, you've got airbags everywhere, you've got lane keep assist, you've got radar guided cruise control, I've got blind spot monitoring on this specification car, you know, autonomous braking. I mean, it's just lovely, it really is. It's a real premium product, and you can feel that in here. Now, the car comes equipped with a 78 kilowatt hour battery, meaning a range of 257 miles according to WLTP cycle. Realistically, it's more likely to be 200 to 230, so maybe a little bit less than other cars that you might find in a similar price bracket. The car will take charging speeds up to 150 kilowatts, meaning if you can find one of those chargers, you can go from 0 to 80% in around about 40 minutes. If you're using the more usual 50 kilowatts, then it's going to be slightly over an hour to get the same amount of charge into it. From home, if it's a 7 kilowatt wall box you have, then it's around about 11 to 12 hours. If you have the faster 11 kilowatt style one, then that drops to about 8 hours to go from 0 to full. Now, this is where things get, well, frankly, ridiculous, because this little car, this small Volvo 4-wheel drive, has 400 brake horsepower. That's right, you heard that correctly. It has more brake horsepower than a 911 Carrera. Ridiculous? Yes. Necessary? No. Fun? Oh yeah, without doubt. This car dispatches 0 to 60 in under 5 seconds. I mean, that is frankly, well, as I say, preposterous. But what I will say is, despite that, it is a great little car to drive. Take the performance out of it, it's still a really good little car to drive. Now, it's twin motor like the Polestar 2, as I say, so it's motor at the front, motor at the rear, so it's permanent four-wheel drive. And of course, with that becomes a huge amount of grip. But the rest of the car just feels really, really good to drive. All the controls are nicely weighted. The steering's got a slickness to it that's just, I mean, okay, as I say, it's not a sports car, and thankfully Volvo haven't tried to make it as such. It is tuned a bit more for comfort than it is for sport, and I think that's, you know, commendable. But it's quite a fun little car to hustle down a road if you end up down that way. The other thing is the refinement. The refinement is absolutely out of this world. This is quieter than a church library full of mice reading. It is such a lovely car to be in. There's barely any wind noise. In fact, there's no wind noise. There's barely any road noise. That's the only downside, I would say, is at low speed ride, there is just a little bit of jiggliness, for want of a better word. Just, you can feel those drain covers, you can feel the expansion joints, and that's where you get just a little bit of a patter from the suspension. That's the only real audible noise that I can hear coming through the car. Other than that, it is blissful in here. And as I say, to drive, well, you've got a really nice driving position. You sit really well in the seat, typical Volvo seats, huge range of adjustment. You can extend the squab out as well. They hold you in all the right places. The steering wheel's got a range of adjustability too. The whole thing it just works, it just gels. You know, for a compact four-wheel drive car, this drives beautifully. And you can, again, like I said, it's based on the Polestar 2, and you can feel that DNA through it, as ridiculous as you think that might sound. The brakes are good. The brakes have got a nice feel to them on the pedal itself, and that's the only other area of, well, I say criticism, I just prefer something slightly different. You see, it has got brake regeneration, but it's either on or it's off. There's no in-between setting, and you have to go into the screen to put it on. So when you do that, the car is labelled as one pedal driving, and that's exactly what you get. You get one pedal driving with it. When it's off, however, you come off the accelerator, the car coasts at sort of like the same speed as you've been doing, which can be unnerving at first, because no matter whether you drive an electric car or not, in a petrol or diesel engine car, you obviously get some form of engine braking when you come off the accelerator, and in most electric cars there's an element of brake regen dialed in as standard. In the Volvo there isn't. So as soon as you come off, you realise, I'm not slowing down, I've got to get onto the brake pedal, so you slightly panic and jump on the brake, meaning that it's not quite as smooth at first. You have to get used to that. Now, I'm going to stop short of calling it a criticism, because I'm sure a fault. I'm sure there's a reason Volvo have done that, and that's fine. But it does take a little bit of practice to get used to it. And the first few times, as I say, when I came off the accelerator and thought, oh crikey, I need to slow down, you jump on the brake and you're not quite as smooth as you think you're going to be, and it's a bit jolty for your passengers. But past that, that's it. That's all I can find fault with, as I say, a bit of low speed ride, and that. Otherwise, this is close to perfect. I love it. I absolutely love it. 400 brake horsepower in a Volvo four-wheel drive. It's just nuts. Oh dear. You gotta laugh at those Swedes, eh? They got a sense of humour. Well, they gave us ABBA, I suppose. Now, if all this has got you really excited about the new Volvo XC40 pure electric and you want to run down to your local Volvo dealership and buy one, don't. You see, they can't sell you one because this is the first Volvo that the manufacturer is going to sell exclusively online. They are, as a manufacturer, moving more towards online retailing, and this is the car that's kicking it off with. Now, they also want you to take it on a subscription basis. Volvo's idea is that these days we do everything by subscription, whether it's our phone, whether it's the entertainment that comes into our TV, or whether it's the music that we buy. So why should a car be any different? Now, if you were to do that, the XC40 PA Recharge Pure Electric comes in at between £600 to £700 a month for the spec that I'm driving here. Now, that sounds like a lot of money at first, and it is, but I suppose because you don't pay that initial deposit in the first place, and if you were to look at other cars, by the time you've put fuel in them and tyres and maintenance, it probably equals out to about the same, because obviously the subscription package takes care of all that for you. All you're doing is putting electricity into it. So does that make a lot more sense? Well, perhaps to some it does, but if you are a bit old-fashioned and you do want to throw cash at them, then the range starts at the moment at just over £50,000. This spec is around about the £57,000, but have no fear. There is going to be slightly lower price models becoming available well below that £50,000 bracket, albeit with less power and probably just front-wheel drive only. So what's the competition like for the XC40 electric? Well, there is a few cars out there at the moment, but more importantly, there's more coming. At the moment, you've got the newly launched Mercedes EQA, its small, compact, fully electric crossover SUV. You've also got the Lexus UX300E, a car that we tested a little while back. It's the same premium badge, compact SUV, you know, sort of like round about that £50,000 bracket. But importantly, coming out, there is a raft of new models. Now, Volkswagen's ID4 has just been announced in GTX trim, which is its performance variant. That's going to come in round about starting at £50,000, but doesn't have the power of the PA XC40. You've also got Audi's variant of that, the Q4 e-tron, which is available as a full-size crossover style, but also it's going to have that coupe-style fastback, the sportback variant, which Volvo will counter with its C40, which is again a coupe version of this with 4 doors. Porsche's new Macan is now announced that it's going to be fully electric, and again, it's a premium badge at round about this price bracket. And BMW, well, there's the iX3, but it's a bit bigger, but I wouldn't bank on it on BMW being out of this party for long with something smaller to compete with this size of car. So here's what we like and what we don't like about the Volvo XC40 Recharge Pure Electric. We like its styling, its performance, its refinement, the interior space on offer, and the quality. We don't like the starting price is quite high at the moment. Its low-speed ride quality can be choppy, and the range could be better for this price of car. I like this car. I like this car a lot. I love this car, in fact. It's practical, it's comfortable, it's refined, it's fast. Oh, perhaps a bit too fast, and it is quite expensive. Okay, let me finish by saying this. Maybe the sweet spot of the XC40 electric is yet to come, because by sacrificing that ridiculous performance, there will be a lower price car coming out that might make more sense, that will still retain all the other qualities that make this such a brilliant car. Perhaps that's when it will start to make more sense to a lot of other people. But as it stands, I prefer this to the, albeit more expensive and bigger, Audi e-tron. I prefer it, again, to the more expensive and bigger Mercedes-Benz EQC, and it's not far off the Jaguar I-Pace as being my favourite all-electric premium SUV. And it would fit in well round here, and I'd have a clear conscience. Thank you for watching AutoEV. As always, please remember to like and subscribe to the channel. Press the little bell button down below so you receive notification of when our next video goes live. And leave some comments, good or bad. We do enjoy reading them and replying to them. And if you haven't been there, then I urge you, I implore you to go to autoev.co.uk, where you'll find our road test library just waiting for you. Thanks again. We'll see you soon. So, you've watched our video. It's now my job to tell you to like and subscribe and press the little bell button to receive notification of when our next video is uploaded.